Hi, I'm Tim Brooks, this is Dan Chabowski, and we're from the Brooks Group at Keller Williams Realty. Welcome to Agent to Agent, the first show for real estate agents by real estate agents. And what we're going to talk about in this first series, this is a series that's going to help you go from, say, just thinking about getting a real estate license, getting the license, you're already a seasoned agent maybe, or you're 20 years into your career. This series is intended to help you go from say doing no business at all to learning how to develop a team that's fully running using leverage, leadership, proven systems and models to where you'll actually be able to extract yourself from the business while it's still running and you're netting $1 million.
Right, and we want to show you how realistic that really is. Too many people don't set their goals high enough and think that it's unachievable to be extremely successful. And it is, and it doesn't have to take 20 years either, does it?
It doesn't. We know how many successful agents, 4 years into the business, with huge teams running.
Massive teams, successful teams.
650 transactions a year. This one agent I just met with at a mastermind last week. And that guy is having massive success because he's doing the right actions, he's got the right mindset with massive levels of activity.
Absolutely.
So the first thing to really consider when thinking about getting your real estate license is why? What do you hope to get out of the industry? What do you hope to achieve with this career? You can't ever really just make it about money, though.
Right.
Because what happens when it's just about money?
You're going to quit.
You're going to quit eventually. There has to be a bigger why, something that's driving that desire for the income itself. And the income is to fund what? A perfect
life that you're looking for. The money
life
is
by design,
exactly,
right? Not by default.
And that money is really just a vehicle to take you to where you want to be in life, but it's important to set those goals ahead of time. Set them big, too. Set them as big as you can and what you really want.
Now, there's 3 things that are absolutely necessary, though, to have a successful career in real estate, and most agents are lacking at least 2, if not all 3 of these skills, and it's really why they're failing. And I shouldn't say skills, I should say traits. Now, because the first trait is being skilled, to skill up.
Absolutely.
You know, what kind of skills are required in real estate?
You know, and this is, and so often, you know, we think it's about putting signs in the yard. Can we evaluate a value? But that's really a byproduct of this, because what's the biggest skill is it's sales. You are an absolute salesman, and you need to be an expert salesman.
Master salesman.
Absolutely.
Are you committed to being a master salesman?
Absolutely, every day. And it's not something that comes easily to everybody. But it doesn't mean you can't learn it. It's here. It's doable.
Absolutely. So we have negotiating skills, sales skills. Most realtors in the business 20 years don't even think that they're in sales.
Right.
And if you don't even understand that, you're in real trouble.
You've really missed the game.
So you have to have the skills. You have to have the desire.
Right.
How many agents, maybe they show up, maybe they don't.
Right. Or they show up at 10.
Noon, if ever. They don't have the desire. Because to be successful. How many of you seen, I just want to do 1 transaction a year?
Yeah, just a hobby. It's something fun for me to do on the side. And what happened? Those agents that are showing up in the afternoon, we've been there cranking out on the phones all day long already. Those clients are ours by that point in time.
And those are the agents that actually are showing up.
Right. That doesn't count the one that found something else to do that day other than doing the things that are vital to your business and your success.
So having skills, having the desire, and finally, and most important, this is the one that is probably the one that they're lacking the most, or that I see least often, is willingness. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. You have to be willing to make those phone calls that you don't want to make. You have to be willing to skill up and read every single night, becoming an expert in the industry, becoming an expert in sales.
Right, because it's not a can I or can't I be successful, and we shut ourselves down too quickly. It's will I or won't I. The writing's on the wall, the systems are available. Are you willing to train yourself to be an absolute assassin on the phone, to be great in front of people, to know your business inside and out?
So how many people have we seen that they just didn't have the willingness to do the stuff that's not showing houses or HGTV
the fun
type
stuff
of activities?
That you think, oh, I'm going to do this because it's going to be fun. It's going to be easy. Those clients are just waiting for me.
That's right. So skills, desire, and willingness, those are extremely important. I want you to write that down. And then ask yourself, am I lacking in any of those particular categories? And a lot of times, anytime I've ever had say failures or I didn't achieve goals, it usually came down to one of those three things, if not more than one.
And the beauty of this is, you know, we want to be in business for ourselves. We want to be self-employed. We don't want a boss telling us what to do. At the same time, you have to be able to look at yourself and actively evaluate yourself on what your issues are. Because if you're not, you're missing them. There's always something that can be improved. And wouldn't you agree with that?
Absolutely. Now, this career can be an absolute rocket ride for you if you spend time on the right activities over time. This can be everything you desire it to be. It can be the most awesome experience, life-changing experience, fulfilling inside. Just look at all the growth that we've had, all the courses we attend, the speakers, just the awesome people that we've been around that have allowed us to say change our mindset. It all comes down to your mindset. And it really can be truly life-changing. This career changed my life, certainly.
Absolutely, and it did for me too. And to be honest, it didn't take 20 years to change it, because we committed to massive levels of action right off the bat. Wouldn't you agree?
It was almost instant. I didn't have time to put on the seatbelt. It just like put it in gear and took off, and I didn't even know to expect that.
Exactly.
And so we also want to help all of you experience the very same success, and we are looking forward to, over the next year, deliver great content that's going to help you get out of obscurity, do whatever it takes, and have awesome careers. We don't want the bumpy ride, we want the rocket ride.
The rocket ride. And like you going back to the willingness point, are you willing to stick with this program, to watch every week, to learn from it, to take the vital parts of it? Are you willing to do that? That's the first step, and that's not that hard to do, is it?
Not at all, but you have to be willing. You have to have the desire.
Absolutely.
And we'll help deliver the skills. Again, I'm Tim Brooks. This is Dan Chabowski, and welcome to Agent. We look forward to seeing you in the next segment, where we're going to cover the 8 myths of what real estate is. Welcome back to Agent. I'm Tim Brooks, and this is Dan Chabowski. All right, we wanted to pick up with the 8 myths of real estate. What are the 8 myths of being a real estate agent that many people may think about, that this is what an agent actually is, and HGTV is one of the main things that perpetuates this. People, you know, they like to watch HGTV. Oh, I can do that. I'm going to go get my
Saturday morning watching House Hunters. I'll get my license. And two, it's not even just the new agents. Sometimes this myth is still perpetuated for agents that have been in the business for a while, and that's really where they stop their learning as well. And
showing a house is really just a byproduct of the sale that you've already made, which is picking up the client. That's the sale. Everything else is just a byproduct of a process.
It's in the system, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So please, anyone thinking about getting your license, or new agents or experienced agents, it's not about showing houses. It's not. There is no sale made when showing the house. It's all about picking up the client. And that takes us to myth number 2. New agents think that their licensing class will teach them what to do. I'm going to sign up for a real estate class and get my license, and then I'm going to know how to be a real estate agent.
And you find that too, even in a lot of careers. I'm sure if you look if you were in a different career, and if you came out of college or something like that, you feel prepared to do your job. But when you get to your job, that college course didn't always prepare you for what you needed to be successful at your new job, right?
Yeah, well, and
the learning can't stop.
The licensing course itself teaches you how to follow the rules, how to not get in trouble.
Not get in trouble, exactly.
Absolutely zero about real estate, selling real estate, how to be a successful agent. And we hope that this series can actually help.
Because for most of us, we're out there on our own trying to learn these things, and without a plan, without a guided plan, it's easy to fall into these traps and to be a glorified door opener. It's very unsuccessful in the long term.
So when you go through your licensing class, don't expect to learn anything about how to sell real estate. And myth number 3, most people think that when they get their license, they're issued a license and a client at the same time, and that you just get a client when you walk through the door. So people get their real estate license, and then now what do I do?
Where are they? Why didn't you deliver me 10 clients? I thought I was ready to start opening doors tonight.
Yeah, they think that people are just going to start calling them or walking through the door or knocking on their door.
Exactly.
With no prospecting, no sales, no nothing. So that's myth number 3, that I have my license. Okay, now I'll start showing houses.
Exactly, yeah. And there really is, and this is where really the vital part comes, is building a name for yourself and really just doing the aggressive work that you need to pick up those clients, because without clients, we find things to do during the day, but are they really beneficial to the process of being successful?
And this is actually a key step here to not be shocked when you aren't just bombarded with clients initially. That's where a lot of people just stop.
Right.
They give up and they never actually launch their career in the first place.
3 weeks and I haven't talked to anybody about real estate, and they haven't come to me, so maybe this isn't for me.
And then they say, oh, real estate is hard, and then they give up.
Right. Oh, this isn't what, the real estate business isn't, a business that you can be successful.
All of these things. It wasn't what their expectations were, so then they quit when they could have been a successful agent if they had just known what to expect.
Setting
and
that mindset ahead of time
and
understanding what it really takes.
And that was actually number 4, was expecting clients to be issued with their license. Number 5, most people thinking of getting a license think they'll only work a few hours a week, and for most agents, they do.
They may. Yeah, that may be all they do. And hey, I can set my own schedule, vacation, no problem. I work for myself. This is great.
So working a few hours a week equals what?
Not making
poverty.
Any money. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
starving.
It's possible to work a few hours a week, but if you have any hopes whatsoever of getting rich in real estate or making a fortune, because it's an easy career that you're your own boss,
right? And
you have to hustle.
Exactly. And think back to anything that you've been successful and what you're most proud of in your life. It probably didn't come to you easy. It probably didn't come to you right away. You had to work at it, and that's what really makes you proud, and that's why you became successful, because you dedicated yourself to it. You put in the time, because, I mean, what's so true, everything's going to require how much more effort than normal?
Oh, 10x, right?
At least 10 times more.
Which means
effort.
10 times of that.
And 10 times the action, the effort, everything to be successful.
Which brings up a good point there. An awesome book with that, the 10x rule, talks about that. So what levels of action are needed?
Massive.
Massive levels of action. And so anyone thinking, yeah, I'll just work a couple hours a week, it is not going, that plane will not get off the ground if it's rolling and you haven't even removed the chalk blocks. You have to put in the time, you have to put in the effort, and you have to really, really hustle it. Now, myth number 6, and this is an interesting one. Most people think they don't need any special skill. Just be nice to people.
Right.
And
they want a polite person. I want somebody happy and nice to show me houses. But what do they really want? What do you want? If you were going to go out and buy a product, you want an expert, don't you?
I want an expert. I want someone who can hustle. I want someone who knows how to sell, who's going to be able to negotiate.
I want someone to bring me value, because without that value, why do I need you? I don't want an agent that I can walk over and who I want to hang out with later that night, do I?
Yeah. And so, you know what? Most agents don't even think that they're salespeople.
Right. And that's a huge misconception, because now you're missing out on the big, because you are a salesman and you are handling probably one of the biggest assets in these people's lives, if not the biggest.
Yeah, so them thinking that, oh, I don't really need to know anything, I'm just an agent and be nice to people, is really, you have to get rid of that idea, because it just does not exist. It doesn't work that way. You have to hustle, but you also have to skill up, and that's the number 1 skill, sales ability,
Absolutely.
Sales skills.
You need to be an absolute assassin on the phone. People need to know as soon as they talk to you, within the first 30 seconds, that they're talking to somebody that's sharp as a tack, that's energetic, they know their business, and they're an absolute expert. Because I don't want to be talking to someone who's not an expert. I don't need that.
That's where Sell or Be Sold comes in handy. That was my favorite book for skilling up when it comes to that. Number 7, not much learning after getting their license. They think they don't really need, they did all the learning up front to get the license, and there's not much learning after that, when in reality, that's where it starts, right?
Right, yeah, I mean, really the success level starts right there, and that's why we see so many people who waste their day finding something to do other than learning, doing the things, spending 3 hours designing your sign. But you know how many signs you need with no clients?
0.
None.
So that's the thing. You have to constantly be learning. You have to take charge of your learning experience. You absolutely have to own your own learning experience.
It's nobody's job but your own. That's the beauty of working for yourself, is when you're successful, it's because of you. But when you're not successful, there's no fingers to point except
Whose
for the
fault
person
is
in
it?
the mirror. You
Yours.
know, it's you.
Now, number 8, real quick. Selling real estate doesn't really involve selling.
And I think that's maybe the biggest and most strong emphasis we can put on anything, because you are a salesman. All day long you're a salesman. You're selling yourself, you're selling your value, and you have to have that value.
Yeah, you have to be a master at it. So again, I want to thank you for joining us, and sit tight. We're going to be back with you here in the next segment, and there we're going to cover what being successful in real estate actually is and entails. So again, I'm Tim Brooks, this is Dan Chabowski, and we'll see you in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back to Agent to Agent. I'm Tim Brooks, this is Dan Chabowski, and you are on the Cardone TV network. So, what we're going to cover here in this segment is what being successful in real estate actually is. We've got a list of 8 things that are going to be real important. So if you're just thinking about getting your real estate license, just getting into the industry, or if you've been in for a while and want to step up your game, these 8 things are going to be absolutely vital to understanding to increase your game and get what you want out of this industry. And the first one, Dan, is professional level sales skills with professional level training.
Too many people think that you don't need any training to be an excellent salesman. And they think that when you just roll out a product in front of them, they're going to want it. Everybody wants a house, right? That's an easy product to sell.
They think, oh, that guy is good. He was just a natural born salesman, right?
Right.
And as we know, no one's born a salesman. They're born a what? A baby.
Right.
So you have to get that natural, or you have to get that professional level sales training.
Absolutely.
We use Cardone University.
And two, I mean, our learning's growing all the time. Even as the success has been great in real estate, our learning doesn't stop, and it can't ever stop, or you plateau. And two, you look at as you entered into this career, how much learning did you put into becoming a tremendous salesman, to creating that value?
I'm obsessed with it.
Right.
I'm obsessed with becoming a master salesman, and I have so far to go. But how is it when you are awesome with awesome sales skill, and say a client or a potential client that we're prospecting throws an objection, you can see that objection a mile away,
natural.
right?
It's natural, and you don't feel like you're reading a script. You don't feel like it's rushed or you're not an expert. You become an expert because you're so well trained and you've put the time in to become
well. And
trained.
How confident are you too? How confident are you dealing with that customer?
And two, they can feel that too.
And that's what makes you seem like an expert.
And they can feel the difference right off the bat. In the first 30 seconds, they can tell if you're an expert or if you're an amateur.
That's right. Now, number 2, learning and mastering scripts and dialogue. And I love scripts. I have a script for everything, every possible scenario, every possible objection,
Yep.
every pitch. It's all a script.
Yep. Every type of client, there's always an answer, because when they have an objection, that's just a complaint.
Maybe.
You know, that's probably not a problem, and we need to evaluate the difference between those two.
But if it's
right
not, you have to know. But there's a script for it, right?
Absolutely.
Everything. And so what happens when we've heard, say, new and veterans alike in this industry, that even the ones that are using scripts, what happens when they start deviating? They learn the script a little bit,
right.
They get confident with it, and what happens?
They start to deviate, and they lose their client right there on the phone.
Well, what happens to their numbers?
Oh, they go down drastically, because the script's there for a reason. It's a system. It's proven. That's why you follow that script. And that's the one I love in our office all the time. I hear that because we can hear our guys prospecting out on the phone. And what do I always hear from you? Get back on script. Is that on script? No, it's not. You know, and because we know and you know, they need to be on that script to be successful every single time.
Yeah, and of course we have awesome scripts that we use. Millionsonthephone.com, by the way, will get you so tight on the phone. So number 3, which segues right into that, mastering cold calling at a high level and making those calls every day for at least 3 hours. Now, I say 3 hours for, say, an agent that's just working for themselves that isn't on a team, where we have guys that are dedicated to, that's all they do. Their whole job, 8 hours a day, is hammering on the phone.
Absolutely.
But you have to master the cold call.
And you can't fear it either. You need to overcome that fear. And tying in the last piece about the scripts, why those two are so important together, you need it to be measurable. You know, when you're consistent on the phone with your script, you have a testable, measurable system. You can find the flaws, and you can always, I mean, we're always altering scripts, aren't we?
Always
improving.
Well, tweaking, measuring, testing, adjusting.
Right. Where was their pushback? How do we overcome that?
Yeah, where's the friction in the script?
Exactly.
Where are they going off? And then is it a training issue? Is it the script? Is it, you know, so you can actually figure it out.
Right, because what happens if you don't use a consistent script? How do you ever measure that? You can't measure where the issue is, and then there you are making mistakes possibly all the time.
See, and you probably appreciate this because as a former biology teacher, you probably appreciate that scientific method, right?
That's right. That one that you learned you thought you'd never ever use again.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be in a lab with a beaker. You know, that scientific method is applied all the time to so many aspects of life.
We've got a sales lab though, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So anyway, you have to commit to mastering the cold call. It's the single most important skill in this industry. I would say in any industry.
Absolutely, any type of sales that's going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah. Number 4, committing yourself to massive levels of action to get yourself out of obscurity.
Right.
What's our biggest problem here in real estate?
Is when you're obscure, no one knows you. They're not coming to you.
They can't buy from us if they don't know who we are.
Exactly. Yep.
So, so that is number 4. Is you have to commit to it. Commit.
Absolutely.
Commit. Don't just try it. Don't put a website up and fool around. You have to commit to massive levels of action.
There's no sense in wasting your time dabbling in every single area because we spread our effort out. Become an expert.
Yeah, and focus on, say, three things that you really focus on. Go deep and then go wide once you've got those under control.
Right, because you've got to build that base for success, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I like to chase shiny objects and what's the newest, best thing. However, you have to commit to massive levels of action, and there's no magic bullet. There's no magic potion. It's all about effort and action and massive levels of it.
Right, and it doesn't. And that's kind of going back to, as we talked about, people think it's a couple hours a day of just showing houses. It has nothing to do with just showing houses. This massive action is taking place behind the scenes at night when you're watching training videos, when you're reading books, when you're working on making yourself better all the time.
Now, number 5, committing yourself to learning everything there is about the sales process. Everything from start to finish, all of the steps, not skipping any of the steps. What happens when you start skipping steps?
You're gonna lose out right away.
The process starts falling apart, and then you don't understand why. And people do it every time. Well, I don't like that step, so I'm gonna skip that. I don't like closing, so they don't ask for the order for the sale.
Because what do we do when we're not an expert at something? We fear it and we pull back. We have to overcome that fear of all of these things. You know, this can't be a fear of they're not going to like me. Oh, I'm going to upset them on the phone. Yeah. It's not personal.
And number 6, you've got to treat it like a business.
It is.
A lot of these people treat it like a hobby.
A hobby, yep.
So, you know, what happens when it's a hobby? They don't respect it. They don't treat it like a business.
Right.
And you actually can run it like a business with employees, hiring leverage.
Appropriate systems. And because I know,
systems and models.
You know, golf is a hobby, and I suck at golf, and that's okay because it's my hobby. I can't suck at this because I'm trying to eat.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Absolutely. Number 7. Being a successful real estate agent means being committed to doing whatever it takes for however long it takes.
Right.
People, they give up after what, a week?
A week, yep. Some of them will hang in there for a couple days, and that's always the interesting thing is we teach these prospecting classes. They'll reluctantly take out the phone, we'll make a few phone calls, but when no one's looking, we let it go.
Anything to not have to do anything. So you have to be committed. 9 out of 10 brand new agents who get their licenses leave the industry within 1 year.
Absolutely.
Because they weren't committed to doing whatever it took for however long it took to do it. And it doesn't take long, does it? If you actually commit yourself to the right actions, it does not take very long to get started.
And going back to that initially setting that initial goal is so vital, because otherwise, if you don't set that initial goal when things get difficult, which they will, you're going to start to flake off.
Well,
that
brings us to number 8. This is the final thing on my list here is people think too small. When you're getting your real estate license, think big right from the first minute. You have to think, I want to have this massive team, make $1 million if that's your goal, but think big. People are thinking too small, and they need to really think big. Empire builder big.
Don't put a ceiling on yourself, because you know what happens when we set our limitations low, we get to keep them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'm Tim Brooks. This is Dan Chabowski, and thank you for watching Agent to Agent, the first show for real estate agents by real estate agents. Now, I want you to join us in our next episode. We're going to talk about the 3 sales of real estate. Once again, thank you for joining us.